Hi, I thought I'd demonstrate the pre-tests for Touch For Health Kinesiology. So generally what we find is we've got different things that can cause us to go out of balance. And if we're going to have a kinesiology session where we're using biofeedback mechanisms such as muscle testing, which is really not a test for the muscles, but a test for the flow of energy through those muscles. Before we even do any of the actual testing, we need to make sure that everything's reasonably in balance and harmony before we start. So I was really pleased my friends Finn and Gary came in today so that I could use them as little guinea pigs, just so Finn could do the filming and Gary could let me just do a couple of little tests, and incidentally they wanted to know if one particular medication was going to be right, so we tested that as well. Once we did the tests, Finn just said, "Oh, I hope I can remember that," and I said, "Let's film it." So we did. And what we did was go over a few little things just so she would have that, but I'm also going to share that with you guys as well. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that our energies are in a good state. Our brain is balanced, left and right hemispheres and all the rest of it. So I'm just going to very quickly go over some of that right now, and then we will then show you the demonstration that we did with Gary. So the first thing we want to do, and in the video, because we'd already done the test, I forgot to do the central channel, but that is the first part of it that we want to do. And basically what we're doing is from the pubic bone to just below the bottom lip, we just want to pull up, and we're just tracing that meridian with our hand just 3 times. And what that does is it actually raises your energies. So it just brings it right up through that conception vessel, and you can feel it like the energy rising up as you do that. The next thing we want to do is a thing called switching. So it's about switching on your brain really, so that everything's working. So if you've got a foggy brain, or you're tired, or you're making mistakes and can't remember people's names, it's a perfect thing to do. One hand over the dantian or tandan, which is really the lower energy center in the body. So it's just around below the belly button. And then the other hand is really working on these little divot points here. It's called kidney 27 or K27. We want to rub, and then we change over to rub again. And this balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Then we want to work on the end of the governor vessel coming and joining with the end of the conception vessel. So we're going to put hands like this and just rub with that other hand still on our dantian or tandan. And then again, we change to the other side. This balances the top and the bottom of the brain. And then over the tailbone. Now the tailbone is all about survival, but it's also, when we do this, we are balancing the front and back of that brain. So it means that once we do this, our energy switches back on again. We feel a whole lot more balanced, and it means we can then go ahead. Some of the other things that we can do as a pre-test is to make sure that person is hydrated, and we will do a muscle test. And with muscle testing, as I mentioned, it's a biofeedback mechanism, so we can really get a feedback from our body whether or not the energy's flowing, or whether it's overloaded in one area or blocked somewhere in the circuitry. And so if somebody just holds their hair, then we can muscle test to see whether or not they're hydrated. If they test weak, it means they need some water, and just usually half a glass of water will fix that. Gary was a little dehydrated when we started. After he had a sip of water, he tested strong. And I don't think I did that on the next part of the video, but we did that earlier on. We just tested, and he was fine when we tested the second time. Then the next thing that we want to do is check for chemicals to see whether or not that part of our brain is working. So what we used was this little marker, because we know nobody likes the smell of these. So, and it does smell bad. So if I do that, I'm doing a muscle test now, and that's testing weak for me. So it's not something I want to be doing, is inhaling those little things all through the day. And to clear that, I want to just take 3 deep breaths. And now I want to just test my body, and I'm back on strong again, which is great. And something I didn't do with Gary because I'd already done it earlier is test the muscles here. So we're testing really to see whether the muscles are activated. So if we pull and pinch together, that will generally mean that we'll test weak, and then we lengthen to strengthen, and that will give us a more positive reading. Now, when we're asking questions that we want some clarity on, our body really is wonderful for giving us the truth, or moving us towards something that's accurate and strong, something we test strong for. So in the tests that we used Gary for, we tested him just as you would if you were coming for a kinesiology appointment. And if you want to do it yourself, I love teaching people to empower themselves. And as I was showing Gary and Finn, you'll find the right amount of pressure. So I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I can't hold that strong for that statement, I am a boy. And you can also do the same test, linking fingers like this. And something else I also demonstrate is using the body as a pendulum. And generally the body's going to lean towards something that's stronger and move away from something that's not so strong or not in congruence with you. So I hope you enjoyed our little video, and please use these methods for yourself. As I mentioned in the video, this muscle test I did when I was healing from bone cancer, when I healed myself from bone cancer. What I did was I had all these vitamins. I used Reiki, self-hypnosis, meditation, and vitamins. And I had 15 I was taking 3 times a day. And so I put them on the thymus gland, which is really tests for our immune system. And incidentally, I've had people put a cigarette there, and they test weak every time. And so you can just put that bottle there and test, is this vitamin is good for me? This one is good, this one's good. And what I came up with last time was coenzyme Q10, and I actually put it there with my eyes closed as I'd shuffled. I came up weak, and I closed my eyes and shuffled it 3 times in a row. That was the only one that tested weak with my eyes closed. And many years ago, I went to a workshop with Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and Louise Hay and Terry Kate Collins, I think was the other person that was there. And in that talk, Wayne Dyer talks of when he went to do another workshop up in, I think, Brisbane. He said there were 5,000 people there, and they handed out 5,000 envelopes. Half had aspartame, half had vitamin C, all crushed, and they muscle tested everybody without anybody knowing what was in their envelope. And those that had the vitamin C tested strong, and the aspartame tested weak, and they did it with normal muscle testing from kinesiology. So know that your body has its own intelligence, and your energy field is part of your body. So if something's in your energy field, it's going to test strong or weak. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little test. Use it. Once we found for Gary that the medication he wanted to take was good for him, we then said 1 drop a day, he tested strong. 2 drops, tested strong. 3 drops, tested strong. 4 drops, tested weak. So we know that 3 was the correct amount for him rather than 4. So enjoy, guys. Test it out with yourself. Get good at doing your own muscle test, because your energy field is connected to higher knowledge, and it can bring you wisdom that you might not have any other way of understanding. If you're trying to make a decision, should I go left, should I go right, muscle test, it will give you an accurate reading. So have a great day, guys, and I hope you enjoy that. Namaste. Hi, we're about to demonstrate how to set up a client for a kinesiology test or a kinesiology session. And the first thing we want to do is make sure we start from baseline, which means we want to balance things to make sure that that person is going to test in the right way. If somebody's dehydrated, it might mean that we'll get a false reading. If they're overtired and their energies are not at a normal level first, again, we may get a false reading. So this is Gary, and Gary's going to take both hands out, and first I want Gary to just simply say, I am a boy.
I'm a boy.
Excellent. And he's just holding with equal and opposite force. Now we're going to test for hydration. He and I have already done this. So I'm going to get Gary to pull a little bit of hair, and we're going to test now holding, and that's holding strong. If his hand went, if that strength went weak, it would mean that he's dehydrated. And we're not actually testing muscle strength, we're testing the flow of energy through the meridians that go down through this arm. So the next thing we want to do is just balance the brain, and this is called switching. So one hand goes over just below the belly button, so it's the dantian or tanden or the sacral chakra. The other hand, we're going to work on the two little points on the collarbone just inside. We've got those little ridges on each side on the inside down here. And we're going to rub those, excellent, just rubbing those fairly firmly. If it's too weak, again, sometimes you get a false reaction. Now the other side, and this is going to balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain. The next thing we're going to do is balance top and bottom of the brain. So one finger on the top of the lip, one underneath, and we're just going to rub, or alternatively like this. You want to go peace, man? But what we're doing now is connecting conception vessel with the governor vessel that comes over to the top lip. So it's the bottom out. It's the finishing point for conception vessel and the governor vessel, joining those together so we've got that flow of energy, balancing top and bottom of the brain. And then we want to balance the front and the back of the brain. So we're working over this sacrum area, and we're just going to rub that vigorously. And now the other side. Perfect. Now another thing that we could do is test to see if there are any chemicals that are not working for us. Stay there, Gary. And what we're going to do is find, generally this is a good thing because not many people like these little highlighters. So what we're going to do is get Gary to smell this, and then we're going to test whether this chemical is good for him or it's not. So now, and hold. Can't test strong for it. And take a few deep breaths and clear that out of your nose. Excellent. And now let's test again. And hold, strong again. Don't forget also, we should have done this at the start, just raising up those hands. And when you do this, think about the chakras in your hands working like magnets from the pubic bone to the bottom lip, and we're just feeling that energy rising up as we do that to fill up. We want to just do that 3 times because we could just take those hands out, Gary, and hold. Now say, I'm a boy.
I'm a boy.
Say, I'm a girl.
I'm a girl.
Can't hold strong. Now, we're going to lift up and test and hold. Now we're going to take it down and hold. So he tests strong as we rise up. When we take it down against the normal flow, it's actually weakening him. So rising up again and hold. Excellent. So what we were doing today was testing a chemical, and this is a medication Gary's been given. So he's going to hold this over his thymus gland, which is really to do with your immune system. And I want you to say, this medication is good for me.
This medication is good for me.
1 drop per day.
1 drop a day.
2 drops per day.
2 drops a day.
3 drops
3
per
drops
day.
a day.
4 drops per day.
4 drops a day.
So as you'll see, he was a lot weaker when it got to 4 drops, which means 3 drops was fine, 4 drops is no good. So another way for you to test this for yourself, if you've got a medication, is to put it over your thymus gland. Years ago I was testing when I was healing from bone cancer. I had 15 different vitamins I was taking, and I closed my eyes, I put each of them in my top and tested, and then I got to coenzyme Q10, and even talking about it, I test weak for that. And so you can just test and find from all your medications which ones are good. Then you could say 1 tablet per day, 2 tablets per day, 3 tablets, which means 2 would be correct. So it's just another little easy tool. You make this little loop, some people do it this way, and it's a self-test for energy flowing through the body. I'm a girl, I'm a boy. I'm a girl, I'm a boy. You'll have to practice that till you get the right amount. Another way to do that is to test yourself, is to make sure that you're standing with your heels and your body in a nice alignment. And then we say, I'm a girl, and the body will, you won't, it will tip back for you. But whatever you say, a statement that is true as if it's happening right now, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I'm a boy, I'm a boy. And you'll generally tip backwards if it's not a correct statement. Sometimes that doesn't work, and often that's because you're not hydrated. So you need to make sure you're hydrated and do your switching on as well, and that should give you a much more accurate little reading of what it is that you're doing. So thank you for that, and thank you, Finn, for taking the photos of the videos so we can share that and hopefully give a few more people some tools that they can use to work to keep their health up.